All right, gang, we're going to get this thing wound up momentarily. If you have questions, as always, fire away. If you don't have questions, comment with where you're watching. We'd love to know where everyone is joining us from on these Facebook Live updates. All righty, we're going to get started in just a moment. Stick around for a second or two. So we are on tonight for the risk of strong to severe thunderstorms. That risk is substantial. In South Alabama, especially, the risk of some strong to severe thunderstorms. We'll begin with, hey, how are you? I'm Josh. So a lot to get to, a lot to discuss, a lot to dive into. This is not one size fits all. This is a situation where there is a substantial risk of tornadoes in South Alabama tonight and almost no risk of tornadoes in Central Alabama tonight. So it is not one size fits all. It is a very, we'll call it a changeable scenario. Let's begin with a live look out the window, so to speak. This is a live look at radar over the state of Alabama, and it's a busy screen. So it's raining, lots and lots of rainfall now over the central counties of the state. Notice, though, South Alabama starting to clear up from the rain. That's not good. We wanted it to rain there all night. So the reason that South Alabama has a more substantial threat is there's this warm air over the Gulf that's going to get pulled into South Alabama early tomorrow morning, and that's why we have that more substantial risk of severe weather in that part of the state. Let me show you this. This is the Storm Prediction Center's tornado probability map. So here's Montgomery right up here, and can you see that? Let me know if you can. I'm going to make it as big as I can. So there's Montgomery right there. Notice for most of Alabama, they don't even have a risk drawn. So this is mainly South Alabama, but once you go south of Montgomery, you go pretty quickly up in the risk level. So there is a non-zero risk of a tornado from Troy to call it Linden. Troy to Linden and point south. That risk gets higher in the area outlooked in brown there. And then down here in the far southern counties, you've got this yellow area, which you'll notice the little hatch marks in that. That means the Storm Prediction Center, they're suggesting the possibility not just of tornadoes, but potentially a few strong tornadoes could get in the mix. So why South Alabama? Well, watch with me. It all has to do with how much warm air is available. A lot of you have noticed it's really cold today. But here's what's going to happen in the southern counties. Warm air is going to surge in north just ahead of the line. So you'll notice by 4 o'clock, we're up in the upper 60s. We're pushing 70 in parts of South Alabama. That's at 4 a.m. The main line of storms would still be back here. So this warm air out ahead of that line of storms is really going to cause some problems. And let me show you the line of storms itself as this comes through and how it interacts with that warm air to intensify. Okay, so watch this with me. And by the way, if you have questions, I'm going to get to as many of those as possible. But just if you watch the video, odds are good I'll answer your questions sort of just in the scope of doing things. In the scope of doing this whole thing, we'll be able to get to your questions. So let's do this. We'll do a little picture-in-picture so we can talk and hang out here. So this is roughly now, and the model's doing really well. You've got the big area of rain over central Alabama. It's clearing up in the southern counties, and there's a big mean line of storms back to the west. This is almost exactly what's happening with this scenario right now. So the model is doing fantastic. With the evolution here. That's good. That's good that we have that sort of confidence in it. Okay, so let's move you forward. There's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight, 1, 2 in the morning. Okay, so at 2 in the morning, you've got this nasty line of storms that runs from roughly Selma to Camden, back down towards Pensacola. You've had some rotation, but remember the warm air is still kind of in the process of coming north here. But watch what happens here, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Uh-oh, now we're in trouble. So this is 6 a.m. right or 5 a.m. right here. And you'll notice from Montgomery all the way back down to Foley or so, you've got this really intense line of storms down here. This would be doing some major damage from a wind damage perspective right here. And there is a real chance that you'd be dealing with tornadoes embedded within that line. Okay, so that's 5 a.m. Here's 6. Same thing. It's really not a straight line of storms. It is a line of supercells, all of which would be indicating some rotation in here. If you look really carefully at this image, you can add the little maroon swaths there. That's where the model is attempting to show you mid-level rotation in the storms. So again, this would be at around 6 in the morning. This is a really troubling look down here for places like Montgomery County, particularly south of the city, Crenshaw, Butler, Covington, Conecuh, Escambia counties, even into Macon and Bullock, perhaps. That would be a problematic look if that comes to pass. All right, so we'll move you forward here. More of the same as this moves east. You'll notice, though, by 10 a.m. it's gone. So really the worst of it, there will be storms we have to watch ahead of the main line as early as 1, 2, 3 in the morning. The worst of it will be around 4 to 9 a.m. So we'll just take it hour by hour here. That's 4 a.m. right there. All right, so southwest Alabama getting hit hard. Here's 5 a.m. Montgomery down I-65 getting hit hard. Here's 6 a.m. This would be Tuskegee to Snowden, to Laverne, to Highland Home, to Greenville, back down to Andalusia, back into Atmore and Evergreen getting hit hard. Then we go to 7 a.m. It's really at this point, Lee County, you would be on the northern fringe of it. I think the worst of it stays south of you, but certainly Bullock County, Pike County, Troy, Brundage, Union Springs, back down into Opp, Elba, Enterprise, and Geneva. Then by 8 o'clock or so, this is making it into Seal, Hurtsboro, Eufaula, Abbeville, Ozark, and Dothan. All right, so if I haven't called your town name or your county name and you live north of Montgomery, this really isn't your problem. This storm system is mainly going to go south of you. So for those, I saw somebody asking about Slap Out, of course, obviously, why wouldn't we? Saw you asking about Deedsville. It's just a really rainy, really windy night for you, and then it's over. Now, the issue is there's going to be enough of a wind with this where we're going to have some power outages. We already have over 20,000 outages in the state, and that number just keeps going up. So we're going to watch that pretty carefully, and that's associated with non-thunderstorm winds, which look at this. So this is valid right now. The model here is suggesting fairly widespread 30 to 50 mile per hour gust around the state. Yuck. And as the night wears on, if anything, these numbers just go up. And so we are going to see significant widespread power outages, even away from thunderstorms in this scenario. But then the model suggesting right along that line of storms, you're getting hurricane force winds into Conecuh and Covington and Crenshaw and Butler and Escambia counties. So this is nasty stuff, guys. This is going to be a little bit like a tropical system. In the way that it produces strong straight line winds. And let me just tell you right now, take a severe thunderstorm warning really seriously. In this kind of scenario, a severe thunderstorm warning could be just as dangerous as a tornado because of the extreme wind fields involved with this storm system. You'll notice even after the storms, as we get into the day Tuesday's a really windy day, a lot like today was. That wind is going to stay up throughout the day. So that's where we are right now. As far as the timing here is concerned, as far as the threat levels are concerned. A lot of you just joining us. By the way, we've got 2,000 people watching this live right now. That's that's a big number. So we've got a lot of folks interested in learning about the weather and interested in figuring out what's going to happen around the state tonight. So if you're just joining us, I'm Josh Johnson. If you're watching from somewhere else, I'm the chief meteorologist at WSFA TV right here in Montgomery, Alabama. We've declared a first alert weather day for the possibility of life-threatening weather. That's our threshold. If it's capable of producing life-threatening weather in multiple locations, we typically will declare a first alert weather day. We actually have a very specific set of criteria that we go through with this. So let me walk you through the timing again, and then I want to talk about what you need to do to be ready. There's specific things you got to do to be ready about this, ready for this whole thing, and we'll walk you through all of it. I promise. We'll just kind of calmly square this thing away. Okay, so we'll go back to the beginning. So for those just joining us, I'll go full screen here. This is roughly now. There's a big area of non-severe rain. It's not dangerous, not damaging, over central Alabama. The southern counties are clearing out. They'll warm up. And that's why in South Alabama, we will later on fuel some pretty intense storms. So for those asking questions, I see you, Covington, Troy, you're asking the questions. Just watch and pay attention. It's all going to be on the screen here. So at midnight, you've got storms popping ahead of the main line in southwest Alabama. So your threat level, your threat window opens around midnight in west and southwest Alabama. Notice most of east and central Alabama, things are still fine. But west of Montgomery and southwest of Montgomery especially, right around midnight. Okay, so then we get to 1, 2, 3 in the morning. Clusters of storms ahead of the main line could produce isolated wind damage, isolated tornadoes down here in parts of Wilcox, Southern Lowndes, Butler, Crenshaw, Monroe, Conecuh, Escambia, and Covington counties, midnight to 3 a.m. The Wiregrass would still mainly be all right at 3, but look what happens after 3. You get this really intense line of supercells that forms roughly from Montgomery and points south. And I would argue that the worst of this is going to be on the southern flank here, on the southern end of the line down here. So look, this is 5 a.m. in the morning. 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, Greenville, you're under the gun. Laverne, Rutledge, Fuller's Crossroads, Highland Home, Andalusia, Florala, Babby, Opp, Horn Hill, Onika, Evergreen, Castleberry, Atmore, Carolina, up and down that I-65 corridor, give or take a county or two. All right, so that's 5. Here's 6 a.m. Things are really rough now, really from about Tuskegee down to Pike Road, back down into Pike County, Brundage, Troy. Still rough down at the Crenshaw, Butler, Covington, Escambia, and Conecuh as well. All right, here's 7 a.m. This is now getting into southeast Alabama. See it there? So by 7 a.m., I'm talking Geneva, Coffee, Dale, still Pike, still Bullock, still Macon, Barber, Russell, and damaging wind mainly in Lee County. The risk of tornadoes is not that high in Lee County as we see it right now. We'll keep an eye on it, though. All right, so then you get into, this is the 8 o'clock hour. Now we're in Russell County and Barber County and Henry County and Houston counties. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, this is all in Georgia. So that's the timing on this whole thing. Obviously, you don't need to be on the roads if you can avoid it at that time. So things to go over, things to think about, things you need. Here's the playbook here. You need 2 reliable ways of getting weather warnings capable of waking you up. And please listen. You can't rely on outdoor weather sirens. Tonight's going to be a very windy night. It's going to be pouring rain. You're not going to hear an outdoor weather siren tonight. It's not going to happen. So you can't rely on that. You have to have multiple reliable ways that are capable of waking you up. What are those? First and foremost, WSFA First Alert Weather app. Set your location to follow me, and that will allow us to send you alerts if you're in a tornado warning polygon. Make sure your phone is plugged in and charging before you go to bed, because power outages are going to be a big deal tonight. Make sure your phone's not in silent mode either. We got to be able to wake you up. If you have a weather radio, that's the second best thing. They make a great combination. I recommend both. Have the weather radio, have the First Alert Weather app, and you'll be fine. Second thing, got to have a plan. Got to know where you're going. What does that mean? Well, it's different for everybody. If you live in a mobile home, you have to get out. And it has nothing to do with the home itself. It's how it's secured to the ground. Tornado anchorage systems are not capable of keeping the mobile home secured to the ground during strong tornadoes. It has nothing to do with the home itself. Mobile homes are great homes outside of tornado days. But that's the deal. You got to get out. I've heard from people lately we've seen it. We've started to get into this mindset, and I've heard some people talk about going to their safe place in a mobile home. So they're conflating our advice. They're going to hallway, bathroom, closet, lowest floor in a mobile home. That does you no good. That will not help you one bit. The problem isn't the structure staying intact during a tornado. The problem is the structure staying attached to the ground. You got to get out. There's no way around it. So get your stuff together. Have your shoes ready. If you live in a mobile home and you live south of Montgomery for the most part, get everything ready. Be ready to get out quick, just in case. Okay? Now, if you live in a site-built home, you've got a little more flexibility. You can stay in your home. You just need to go to the lowest floor, hallway, bathroom, or closet. Someone earlier asked about a hotel. If I was in a hotel, I would get to the bottom of the hotel, as low as I could get, and get in a hallway or in the bathroom. That would be a great place. So that's what you need to do to stay safe in any tornado scenario. So mobile homes, you got to get out. It has nothing to do with your home. Your home's great. It's how it's tied to the ground. Tornado anchorage systems are not strong enough to keep those on the ground. They will go flying. Jacqueline says she's been there, done that. She's been in one when that happened. I'm telling you, Jacqueline can back me up on this. You don't want any part of that. You talk about a terrifying experience. That's something horror movies are made out of. So get out. And a little planning goes a long way, and it's not too late. If you live in a mobile home south of the city of Montgomery, here's my advice to you. Go ahead and have a plan in place. Talk to a neighbor, a family member, a friend, someone nearby that you could get to their home very quickly. Plan it out now. Hey, I'm going to come over if we have a tornado. All right, what about apartment buildings? Same thing there. Treat it like a hotel. I would reach out and make friends very quickly with someone on the bottom floor. If that's not an option, you can get to a nearby storm shelter. Your local emergency management agency operates those. If that's not a possibility, get to any business that's open 24 hours. They can help too. Do I think Eufaula will go into the tornado watch? Probably so. It'll be later on tonight, though. Lots and lots of questions about locations, and I've covered that. I'll dive into it one more time, but we're going to have to wind this thing down momentarily because we have WSFA 12 News at 10 starting in about 5 minutes. So here's what we'll do. I'll go over this one more time. If you're asking about a specific town, city, or location, watch this video right here. Right? Okay, so what happens? Well, at midnight, we start to see some storms crank up in the southwestern county. So as early as midnight, I'm a little worried about Clark, Washington, Mobile, Baldwin, and perhaps Monroe counties. So again, that would be around midnight. Those storms don't do a whole lot, though. Then we get to 4 in the morning. Now we've got problems building down in southwest Alabama. So we've got issues now. 4 a.m., southern Dallas, Wilcox, Monroe, Escambia, Conecuh, Butler, Southern Lowndes, Crenshaw, Covington. As early as 4 a.m. So 4, 5, 6, 7 a.m., this makes it into southeast Alabama. So by 6 to 7 a.m., we're talking South Montgomery County, Crenshaw, Pike, Bullock, Southern Macon, down into Geneva, and Coffee counties. So that, again, that would be around 7 in the morning tomorrow morning. Then we get to 8. It's along the Georgia border. By 9, 10, it's out of here entirely. So that's the story, Morning Glory. Now, I saw some questions about Tallapoosa County. You're seeing this right here. So in Tallapoosa County, that could produce some straight-line wind damage. But when we look at the atmospheric sounding there, it's 62 degrees. You've got a ton of wind shear, but you don't have enough warm air to really connect the tornado from the sky to the ground. So that would be my advice to you in Tallapoosa County. I really don't think that's a huge tornado threat area. Could it happen? I can't rule it out, but I think that would be the exception. That would be a huge long shot. So I know your eyes are drawn to that. It's a scary-looking storm. It's probably just a giant straight-line wind producer, though. So that's the update. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to begin WSFA 12 News at 10 in about 2.5 minutes on television. I want you to watch it. I'll have maps that you didn't see here. I'll have data you didn't see here available on the TV side. Then what we'll do, right at 10:35 or so, we'll pop back on Facebook. We'll continue this. We'll do a Q&A. I'll show you some updated data. We get this, the map I'm showing you here, we get a new one of these every hour or so. So we'll have new data to go over, and we will share it all with you starting at about 10:35. So watch TV right now, and then we'll go live on Facebook and YouTube at 10:30. and we'll likely just sort of hang out. Well, that may be a multiple-hour hangout where we are talking about weather for an extended time. So we'll wind this thing down. I want to thank you for participating. I'll go back, by the way, through the comments and answer as many questions as possible. If I didn't get to yours during the video, I'll email you, or I'll leave a comment under your question and answer it for you there. All righty, so 10 p.m. WSFA 12.